In this video, we're going to go over the fastest and the best way to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time in 2026. Over the last 10 years, I've read tons of research studies on losing body fat, building muscle, and I've tested tons of strategies on over 500 clients. And at this point, I've cracked the code just like I did with my client Tyler, who lost 38.1 pounds of body fat and gained 12.9 pounds of lean mass in under 6 months. Here's DEXA to prove his results. DEXA is the gold standard for measuring body composition. I'll also share a strategy that doesn't involve starving yourself, doesn't involve you eating 6 meals a day, doesn't involve you doing a shit ton of workouts. This is all science-based strategies that worked time and time again. And if you're the person who's been gaining and losing the same 10 to 20 pounds just look the same, this video is 100% for you. And if you guys are new here, welcome in. I'm Dr. Ben. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, NSCA certified strength and conditioning specialist, nutritionist, and natural pro. Now, when it comes to the strategy, obviously losing body fat and building muscle are two separate processes. The first thing we're going to tackle is the fat loss process. And this is usually where people mess it all up. The first thing that most people understand is that you need to be in a calorie deficit. But how much of a deficit can you really be in before you start losing more muscle? All three of these studies on the screen here show that the more aggressive your deficit is, the more likely you are to lose lean muscle. So using a more moderate deficit of around 500 calories should allow you to preserve more lean muscle mass, preserve your muscle that you do have, as well as be able to add on more muscle in the future. So first thing, 500 calorie deficit is going to be your max deficit. If you are heavier set, then you could be a little bit more aggressive. If you are a little bit on the lighter side, you're probably going to need to be a little bit less aggressive. The second thing to keep in mind is going to be protein. Protein is great for a variety of reasons. First, it's going to help you build muscle. It also is going to help you with satiety, so it's going to help you stay full. In addition, it also has a high thermoexpected food. For the average person, you want to shoot for about 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound that you weigh. If you are on the outside of normal, if you're a bit heavier, you want to use your ideal body weight, shooting for that 0.7 to 1 gram of pound of ideal body weight at that point. So for example, if you're 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, the range is going to be 140 grams all the way up to 200 grams. Now, one of the main benefits of protein is that it's really satiating. So it helps you fill up, and that's the next thing we need to tackle, which is going to be hunger management. Hunger management is absolutely key because the main reason why people fall off their diets is they get way too hungry, they stop their diet, and they go binge. And so if you want to stay full and not feel like you need to go have that cheeseburger or have that pizza and you're all good to go, this is going to be a very key part of the video for you. Things that are going to be on the high volume, low calorie spectrum are going to be vegetables, leafy greens, fruits, lean protein sources, potatoes even, egg whites. All these are going to be great options. And in the video description, I'll actually leave a list of my top favorite high volume, low calorie dense foods that you can mix into your meal plan. Now, by setting the right calorie deficit, getting the right amount of protein, making sure we're having high volume, low calorie dense foods, the last part, and arguably probably the most important part, is going to be consistency. This study right here shows us that the diet that's going to be best for you is going to be the diet that you can stick to for the long haul. And so you need a long-term sustainable strategy. If you're using strategies that are not sustainable, like keto or fasting or any of these diets that you can probably do for a couple weeks, but you can't do for a couple years, then you're just setting yourself up for failure. The best diet is the one you can stick to for the long haul. Now, protein is just one of 3 main macronutrients. You also have fats, you also have carbs. And so if you want, just go to Instagram, DM me the word macros, and I'll calculate yours for free. I'll calculate your calorie goal, your protein goal, your carb goal, and your fat goal. Like I mentioned, just go to Instagram, DM me the word macros, and I'll get you set up. Now, we covered the major topics when it comes to fat loss. We also need to hit on the other end of the spectrum, which is going to be building more muscle. First thing we need to go over is the SAID principle. The SAID principle is the specific adaptations to imposed demands. So what that means is that your body adapts to the stimulus that you're putting on it. So if you're constantly putting the stimulus of, hey, we need to build more muscle, that's what your body's going to do. And this is usually where most people go wrong, because they will do a lot of these Barry boot camp classes, these Orange Theory classes, and stuff like that, thinking that it's a muscle building workout, when realistically these are more HIIT cardio classes. And so they mistake, I worked hard, I did a lot of cardio, for this is a good stimulus for building muscle. And if your goal is to lose body fat and also build muscle, we need to make sure that the stimulus that we are putting on ourselves is to build muscle. It is hypertrophy focused. So with that specific adaptation to build muscle, we also need to make sure we're implementing progressive overload. Progressive overload is the principle that you need to do more in order to get a better result. So more reps, more weight, better form, more volume, so on and so forth. Some variable in your training needs to be consistently progressing over the weeks and months in order for you to see progress. But of course, my 5-year-old nephew could tell me, hey, if I want to build muscle, I got to do more weight, obviously. And so one of the best ways to implement progressive overload in your training today, you can do is something called double linear progression. Double linear progression is the idea that we're going to progress reps first, followed by weight second. So the first thing we're going to do is pick a rep range. Let's say, for example, we're doing 8 to 12 reps. You're going to use the same weight all the way through each of your sets until you can hit the top end rep range. Once you can do that, that's your cue to bump up the weight. If you want a full video on DLP progression, I'll put it in the description and you can check it out later. The next thing we need to keep in mind is that muscle grows in response to mechanical tension. Mechanical tension is the primary driver of hypertrophy. It's not muscle damage, it's not the pump, it's not what your Uncle Greg says or anything like that. It is mechanical tension. So we need to pick exercises and movements that prioritize high degrees of mechanical tension. Now, to put it all together in your programming, we need to make sure we prioritize the right exercise order. So we're prioritizing the muscle groups that we want to grow first. The next thing is going to be volume. So typically between 10 all the way up to 20 sets per major muscle group per week. The next thing is intensity. You want to shoot for about 1 rep left in the tank or till failure on the majority of your exercises. And the last bit is going to be frequency. You want to shoot to hit each major muscle group at least twice, if not 3 times per week. Now, this is where we start integrating everything in together. So I mentioned in the very beginning of this video, this is the fastest way to hit your goal. And obviously the fastest way to hit your goal is not going to be to rush the cut and cut really aggressively and rush the bulk and add on a lot of body fat. So when it comes to integrating this together, we want to actually shoot for a moderate calorie deficit. So 500 calories or less with really solid training to match it up. If you put both of these together, you're going to see way better results compared to going ultra aggressive. So if you go ultra aggressive with your cut, you're going to not be able to maintain as much muscle mass as possible. You're probably not going to be able to add any if you go too aggressive. And so using a slower approach will actually get you faster results. So if you need help putting all this together, you want my expert one-on-one help, all you need to do is go to the description, fill out the link to apply to work with me, and I'll get back to you. Other than that, if you like videos like this, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next video.